Hey YouTube, I've been doing some research on the Illuminati in movies and video games, and I came across this one here. I saw this horse looking thing and I thought it looked weird. And then I remembered seeing a game called Darksiders 1 about it being the four horsemen of the apocalypse. And so then I'm like, oh okay, it's just a sequel to that. But listen, check this stuff out, man. This is crazy. You gotta look for these clues everywhere. This is probably like that Book of Enoch, man. The devil's take on things.
There are worlds beyond heaven and hell. I travel these realms as one of the four horsemen. A reaper of souls. An ender of worlds. A slayer of kin. My brother, War, stands falsely accused of unleashing Armageddon upon the human race. His fate concerns me. Yours does not. All who live know my name. All who oppose me shall know death.
That is the sweetest game I've ever seen.
Pre-order it now to get the limited edition.
Yeah, right. Typical Illuminati strategy, you know, make it out to be, the end of days, to be something cool, and, you know, get your gun and we're gonna take on some demons. Anyway, let's listen to what they got to say about it. This is crazy stuff, man. I didn't believe in none of this just a few months ago. I think this is it.
I think one of the biggest challenges in ending a fiction is that it's a blank slate. You can do anything. At first that sounds cool, like, hey, you can do anything, but then you realize, wow, I can do anything. And you gotta give yourself rules, you gotta come up with something that makes sense, stuff has to meet together, the fiction has to not contradict itself. Suddenly you realize that that blank slate's a lot more work than it initially seems it'll be. Darksiders World was created pretty collaboratively. We all threw in ideas. You can't really pinpoint one originator of everything. As far as how the world plays, all the NPCs, all the different factions and fiction and stuff like that, that was kind of collaboratively made throughout the team.
The story of Darksiders is pretty deep, and we haven't actually fully revealed why the apocalypse happened. In a nutshell, you learn that there are forces between heaven and hell that are vying for control of Earth and certain other resources that lie somewhere between the two realms. And the horsemen are caught up in the middle because they are ultimately the ones who are responsible for beginning and ending worlds.
In the first Darksiders, one of the horsemen, War, gets framed for destroying Earth. There's a conspiracy between heaven and hell. He sort of takes the blame, mankind's wiped out, and then he is stripped of his powers and imprisoned for 100 years. He's given a chance to come back and prove his innocence, and he's got to pretty much kill everyone involved.
The first game ended in very epic fashion. It was one of the things that players really seemed like the most was that moment when War says, "No, not alone," and you see the broken seal and the comments coming in behind it.
You know, the interesting thing about the comments is there is a giant comet coming in February. That's actually an asteroid, actually. But around November, we're getting this thing called Comet Ice, and that's gonna light the sky up like that. And if you don't believe me, Google it yourself, man. I don't have time to explain that on this video.
Darksiders 2 takes place pretty much in parallel to the first game. In the time that War is imprisoned by the council, it kind of happens in that 100 years, the death's kind of one challenge kind of kicks off in that sort of time.
Because there's such a conspiracy and we don't know who all the players are, Death doesn't have any chance of proving his brother's innocence. He knows it'll just be covered up, so he just decides to undo the crime.
I think the thing that
interesting mention of a conspiracy, kind of like you're covering up the Bible and the truth of that, maybe.
Death finds through this whole trip his redemption. I mean, he's carrying a big weight on his
Just
shoulders
my
all the way through the
opinion.
game. You know, it's kind of revealed to the player what sort of weight that he's actually carrying with him, both physically and mentally.
The hardest part was getting to the point where we knew we were making something special, but once we got there, we were off to the races. We knew it was going to be good.
Alright, man, like I said, I didn't believe in this heaven and hell or any of that stuff just a few months ago, and as soon as I started researching it, you'll see there is an overwhelming amount of effort put into mocking and degrading Christianity, at least the Bible and Jesus. There's also all sorts of overwhelming Illuminati games and stuff, and demonic and just sick stuff, man. That's crazy. Anyway, I hope this research helps people, and I hope you check the stuff out for yourself, because you're gonna find out one way or the other, and I think time's growing pretty short. I mean, there's mention of the end of days everywhere, and I know it's just a game or it's just a movie, but like I said, man, something's on the horizon, I'm telling you. Keep your head up and look for yourself. Alright.